at Davos here at the Wipro Pavilion in Promenade 63. Thank you to our generous folks at Wipro who have helped us get a presence here at Davos. So we've got Holger Mueller today, one of the leading analyst thought leaders, not just the next generation applets, thinking about the future of work and also thinking about the future of software computing and technology. So Holger, where are you today? Look at that. We've got the whole setup.
Hello, Ray. I try to be in a solidarity way with you in freezing Davos. I put on my as a Californian, I don't have a true Russian cold hat. It's from the ice bar in Las Vegas. So trying to show some solidarity with freezing temperature and security issues, as I hear. Great to be on the show.
No, hey, thanks for being on. This is great. It is freezing here. I think we were close to like about 3 degrees, almost 0 degrees at night. And, you know, your breath basically turns into snow, depending on how you get there.
But so, hey, as a native German speaker, I have to jump in and first of all, correct this on the last show we have from Davos. The place is not Davos. Like everybody English speaking says, it's Davos, the emphasis on the second syllable. And I have no authority. I was so confused on Monday. I had a call with Swisscom on their cloud, and I said, it's really Davos, right? And they said, yeah, it's Davos, but all the English speakers get it wrong. So, yeah.
It is Davos. And I've noticed, yes, everyone who's a local says Davos. And yes, definitely a great point. So, well, hey, you know, the big theme here has been responsible leadership. You know, we see that as some of the important things. You know, cloud plays a huge role in this. And so we're going to start by asking you some questions, getting the European view, getting some news from Davos and seeing what's happening. And then more importantly, sharing some updates I've been seeing up and down as we wrap up our Davos coverage. So go ahead, Holger, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I found the theme from the founder, right, pretty interesting, responsive and responsible, because being half American, half European, having lived this year half of my life outside of Germany, Western Germany, is responsibility is usually the European excuse of not doing something. But you have to use this new technology in a responsible way, right? But you have to be responsive as an enterprise leader, as a CXO, as we do. And the question is, like, if I have to prioritize between responsiveness and responsibility, in my view, at least being a little brainwashed on the left side of the Atlantic, I think responsiveness wins, right? If I'm too responsible and wait to be responsive, be thinking about it, all the implications, all the legal ramifications, I might have to be overtaken on the left, on the right, and all my responsibility doesn't matter anymore because my employees don't have work, their families are in stress, my customers are disrupted, my business is going down, right? So I think Europe has to go a little more on the responsiveness, not so much on the responsibility side, right? If you cross the Atlantic, different story, right? Responsiveness is everything. We have to meet every day, standing meeting and so on, right? So a little more thoughtful usage of resources would help the left side, the North American side of the Atlantic. So that's why I could write a blog post on this responsive responsibility, responsible responsiveness, right? So we'll see.
I actually think you should do the follow-up blog post to what I put out about all those different factors of leadership with the regional slant. I think that would be perfect because the challenge, what we're seeing right now, is the fact that people tend to lean in one or two directions more than the other. Right? Or they choose one single type of leadership and think that is the important way to do that. And that definitely is not the case. So now that ties back to this thing that you're always talking. Oh, go ahead, Holger. I cut you off there. Go ahead.
You have to find the right mixture, the right balance, right? I mean, you can only be responsive. You can only be responsible and thinking about the implications and how to do it, right? It's the right mix.
So, hey, before we begin, are you rooting for Green Bay?
Yes, I'm so disappointed that Bala is not here. I was expecting him to show the show. Here is my Green Bay Packers thing. I was ready for some smack talk about hopefully the final between the Packers and the evil, cheating Patriots. Right? I know he's a big Patriots fan, right? I see your Denver fan. The thumbs down there. You started me on sports, so it's your responsibility.
Cowboys fan, Ray. Cowboys, not Denver.
Cowboys. Oh, I see.
So anyway, I've had a new theory that the Patriots have a new cheating situation, which is the rest your aging quarterback for 4 games gate. So which we did with because of a supposedly penalty for cheating and other stuff. And now he's fresh, right? Because he rested. It's the rest your aging quarterback 4 games gate at the beginning of the season. It's too long. You have to find an acronym.
Well, you pay a penalty. Sometimes you get to do that for free.
Right.
So, but hey, this is wonderful. So back to what we're talking about, this brings on to something that you're passionate about, which is really about cloud and cloud technologies, right? How's cloud is being central to being responsive? I mean, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is we see the shift from CapEx to OpEx, right?
Yep.
CapEx investments have to be done responsible. It's limited. It doesn't happen. You cannot move fast. You cannot fail fast. You cannot build a minimum viable product in this world, right? And that's the traditional industry thinking, not just when it comes to IT, but we'll put a factory here, right? We invest in opening an office there. We train people in a certain way and go a certain way, right? So the whole thing to being more flexible, being faster, because there's only one thing that enterprise know for sure is that business will never be as slow as it is today. Right, it's always going to go faster. Right, there might be some short holiday breaks or something, but on average, it's only going to be faster. And then cloud is very central for being more flexible in terms of building, not only moving your capex to opex, but building those next generation applications, which hopefully, if you do them right, differentiate your enterprise in the overall competition. Oh,
now how is cloud also responsible, right? Because you can do both in the cloud.
Well, you have to do cloud responsibly because you might have customer data, employee data in there, right? Cloud does not mean that you're totally responsive being cloud and forget about the responsibility, right? You have to get the right balance, as we said before, from that perspective. And but it's the responsible thing to look at cloud as in CXO, because you know that your traditional IT, your traditional speed, right? We talk about enterprise acceleration, is not competitive anymore, given all the changes, right? And Davos is such a great place to figure out what confusion is there, right? You have now need your pronunciation of how do you pronounce the Chinese leader, Li Jinping, or how do you do it correctly?
I think it's Xi Jinping, but I don't know. I would have to check. I get the Western version. I got the Western version of that.
Xi Jinping. So. Hopefully, I said this right. I mean, who would have thought a Chinese leader defending globalization at a summit? If they first time there, right? And he's there to defend globalization. So, what a confusion! Like, what is right? What is wrong? Who is for what? Who is changing what? Right? The U.S. going to potentially doing more trade wars, right? He said nobody wins in trade wars, right? So it's a very interesting change from that. Interesting from the Italian finance minister was a quote there. The problem with Europe is Europe. So I like that the most Italian wisdom, but some Latin-inspired philosophers maybe behind it. And then all this banter, right? I mean, why does Fiona May or May?
Theresa May.
Not Fiona May. Who's Fiona May? How do I come up with Fiona May? Theresa May come up at Davos to say, oh, that's our Brexit agenda. What was she thinking, right? Is it just efficiency? It's just responsiveness because you can meet with all the banking leaders to tell them it's going to be okay, don't move your people out of the city. So it's just the efficiency part, because that's my overall perspective. People are saying, we're just going to Davos because it's so efficient. I can meet all the people, right? What would have taken me 20 flights and 20 meetings I can do in 2 days, right? And that might be, but then you see all the big political leaders missing out, right? No US president, you might say, okay, it's transition. Angela Merkel from Germany is not there the second time. François Hollande is not there anymore.
Justin Trudeau didn't go. He had a little scandal of his own as well.
The new Italian prime minister is not there. So the political class is kind of like opting out of.
They're scared. Well, they're scared that Davos is seen as very elite and, not really addressing the populace's needs. And I think that's one of the big things people have been worried about. But the whole notion of responsive and responsible leadership was the fact that populism is now an evil. And because of the populism, we're going to have to clamp that down because they're anti-globalism and they're anti-eco and they're anti all these things. When the reaction really is, how do we bring and bridge these gaps together? And I think that's what people are talking about. So, hey, now related, going back to more of the technology piece, right? Does Europe need next-gen apps, or can they wait it out? Let everyone else figure it out, and then we'll jump in when it's ready.
Yeah, which is like the European, sometimes not a bad strategy in general. Oh, let's see what the crazy Americans are doing and trying, right? Europe has heard about fail fast too, right? So I can't follow everything that's happening in North America. Nothing is moving that fast, right? I have I have the right to not work in France, right? Established this year that after 5 o'clock I don't have to have my phone on and so on. So I have to be really responsible, like picking on this again. What am I going to do?
I can't text you. It's after 5. I think it might be an issue.
Yeah, or well, I can text you, but you don't have to look at it, right? Until tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So,
but it said delivered.
Right. So the Europeans have been all along, and it has worked for them in some aspects. Not every, speaking French, dernier cri, the latest shout and some trend or movement will make it over and be a lasting worldwide trend, right? This is great about North America, the US being this incubation point of moving things very quickly, but lots of things fail, right? So, but on next generation applications, given the paradigm we talked about, right? Being more elastic from your demand overall, being able to do more modern technologies around everybody speaking about artificial intelligence, changing your applications, being able to access all the data, enabling yourself to be a data merchant, enabling data as a service. All these things only work in next generation applications, not in your existing IT infrastructure. So even if you're very responsible and conservative and thinking things fail fast in the US, I don't think building next generation applications on the new to be determined business best practice of the 21st century is something that any region, not just Europe, can wait out on.
Well, let's flip it around. In an area where America has been waiting, Europe has led in data residency, privacy. When you think about where Europe is, some of the German regulations may become the de facto standard in the world. What do you think about that? Where do we go there?
Well, data privacy is important, right? There's always talk about the human right.
I mean, but Europe is leading in that area.
Yeah, but it's also holding Europe back, right? So that's the fine balance you have to take, right? When you can't, let's say what would happen in Europe is if privacy legislation would forbid Facebook, Twitter, and name another popular service, WhatsApp, which is also Facebook.
WhatsApp and Instagram, yeah.
Here's the funny thing, right? I just came back from Germany Monday, and two of my friends who are computer literate said, I read about the WhatsApp privacy. I'm not using WhatsApp anymore because they can read stuff. I'm going back to Facebook Messenger.
It's like, oops,
it's the same place, right? So Europe's problem is you can regulate in general, right? You can regulate things in every aspect of software as much as you want. If you don't find solutions which follow that, right, which follow that regulation, your host, right, because your consumers will want to use that, right? Forbid Facebook in Europe, and no politician will survive that, I think, right? Given the addiction to Facebook that some of our colleagues, not colleagues, our co-living people around the world have, right? So, and as long as you have a private advertising-driven model which lingers on it being free and you being the product with the digital exhaust, there's no way around it, unless Europe, which France sometimes tries to build their own compliant way. But unfortunately, all these efforts are going very slow and are not going to be competitive and going to get consumers on them, right? So I'm with Eric Schmidt, the board chairman of Google, saying once it's electronic, there's no privacy anymore.
Well, hey, you know me. I'm saying privacy is not dead. I'm going to hold that stick, and I'm going to keep fighting that one. I know it's sometimes futile.
Privacy is not dead. You just have to be aware of it, where you want to be, and how.
Or allow me to apply a value. Or allow me to apply a value to exchange or trade that if I want to.
Right. And that's what the consumer is doing when they use free products where they know their digital exhaust is somewhere in the fine print taking off. But very interesting what happened earlier this year, right? I mean, LinkedIn had to be removed from the iOS and the Google App Store, right? And this is basically the first time that Russia is using its muscle around their September, October 2015 data residency laws. And it's not just hitting after LinkedIn, sitting after Microsoft, which owns LinkedIn, right? And it shows how.
What are we going to do with this data fragmentation, Holger? I mean, that's crazy. Think about that level of data fragmentation that could occur.
Right. If I was a European technologist in government and trying to fund something, I would do research funds for universities, anybody, software companies, to do this slicing and dicing of privacy data with residency being summoned in memory if it's allowed, staying up to date with legislation. That would be a service of taxpayer return from a European perspective if you take privacy so high. But the reality is that the gap, I think, between technology and privacy is getting only bigger. So the privacy regulation, how we deal with technology, you see the San Bernardino discussion, right? Can the government hack into an iPhone, yes or no? It's going to get getting bigger. And that's the interesting thing, right? I just was reminded about this being in Germany. Trains, right? High technology 150 years ago, right? Trains, there was so much time on the regulatory side that they did trial runs to see that if the speed would harm the passengers on the train. Right? We laugh about it today, right? So can people even drive at 20 miles an hour? Then the next thought of the legislative side was, if the passengers survive, maybe people seeing that are bad, right? Cows will not produce milk. I'm not joking, right? Cows will not produce milk. Women would have miscarriages seeing such an object moving so fast at 20 or so miles an hour. We have to build wooden encasements around the train tracks, right? That was a time when the legislation and the government bodies had time to try to deal with technology. It's not happening anymore, right? So the gap is only get bigger, which means for CXOs, there's a risk in technology adoption.
I met one of the Hyperloop founders yesterday. They've got the enclosures. They'll be okay. So
can you see the Hyperloop going by? Are you going to get dizzy? Can you sue them if you do that?
I don't know. I might get epilepsy from looking at the Hyperloop. We'll have to talk about that. So, folks, we're listening here live with Holger Mueller. I'm here at Davos. My co-host Bala Afshar is away today, and we're definitely talking deep about Davos, the implications from a European perspective with Holger Mueller, VP and principal analyst at Constellation Research, my fellow colleague and definitely a close friend. So, last set of questions here. Look, you go to Davos, you're supposed to get some economic advice. We're getting like political, societal, and everything's about AI and blockchain. Let's get serious here. What are some of the CXO takeaways from Davos about technology that should be said that haven't been said?
Great question. I think stepping before the technology, because we always say, look at the big picture, right? I think the political uncertainty is only going up. We touched this, right? Pronunciation of the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping. Did I say it halfway correct?
Xi Jinping. Xi
Jinping. Sorry about that. My Chinese really is improvement. Good to know people who know it really well. The socioeconomic uncertainty is going up. Look at the refugee crisis was a big topic a year ago. I didn't see so much on the digital exhaust around the refugees. It's interesting how these topics come up and down. And because there's not a good solution for it. And the societal change is really hitting Europe. And not much talk about aging, right? We're moving from 6 people working, 1 person retired, to 2 people working, 1 person retired. So a lot of the angst around the robots taking over is something, please, hopefully we have a robot taking care, helping me, right? And we see that in Japan, very interesting, where most seniors opt into having the robot because he's available, she's available 24/7. Privacy is not an issue, hopefully, right? Versus the person might be gossiping. They don't steal from you, right? Big fear in the Japanese elder population. So societal changes are massive. So you have to find the way and realize what I said before, the gap between the legislative framework and what technology can do is only going to get bigger. Yeah, so lots of changes around this. And the important thing is you will need more locations. I think that's the clear takeaway from Davos. And in general, that location matters, right? Just the UK breaking off, right? You have to have the 2 banking locations. And this might be going on, right? You have to get your data into Russia. So you have to find a way to quickly respond if the market is big enough, like for instance the UK, to do business there, open business there, and understand the complexities of that. So location for getting talent, people on board, obviously because of aging population, and location from doing business, having a foreign partnering potentially, having reseller agreements in place. You might be getting shut out of markets where you had your little monopoly strategy to be sometime in 2-3 years, and you have to find a very elastic way to run your business.
All right, Holger, you are probably one of the most traveled people in the world. I'm going to wrap up. Where are you headed? Were you at NRF as well, or were you just in Germany? So
No. I was just in Germany with snow on the ground in the area, which is the hottest part of Germany. That was exciting enough. So,
what's next? Where are you on the travel agenda? Where are you going next?
I don't plan much more than next week. So this week I'm home in San Diego with terrible weather. It's totally unfair, right? When Vancouver and Seattle have San Diego weather, everybody there is happy. When we have Vancouver and San Diego, it sucks. It's rain. Look,
I heard it's raining for 6 days straight in San Francisco. That is crazy.
Yeah, it's raining like hell. So we're going to be here till Wednesday. Wednesday, we're going to head to San Francisco to a big professional service company having their yearly technology showcase, and then taking a red eye, which I try to avoid, over to Baltimore to one of the HR vendors' kickoff. Speaking about the trend of future work and moderating a panel. So that's it for next week. And that's far enough. I don't want to look it up. Too scary.
No, that's great. Hey, thank you so much, Holger, for being on the show, giving us a European perspective, not just on the cloud, future technologies, what's happening, especially given the fact that we've gotten sparse information about technology at Davos and really trying to sum up what it means here. Thank you so much, Holger.
Thanks for being on the show. Stay warm in Davos and have fun.
Thanks. I'll keep saying Davos and see how many people correct me. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, hey, Holger, thanks so much for being here. Great picture. I want that shot on the cover when we put this up there.
Please, yeah. So, and the
well, I don't know about the Packers.
Packers and Constellation logo and Russian style.
So, hey, and cool. Thank you very much. All right, now some program notes about what's going to be happening tomorrow for our regular Disrupt TV show. I will not be there. I can't make it. I'm actually on my flight back to San Francisco, but we have Vala Afshar coming back, my co-host, Chief Digital Evangelist at Salesforce, #1 CIO, CMO influencer, HuffPo blogger. He's going to be here. And then, of course, we got some special guests. We got Blake Cahill, the person who's head of digital at Royal Philips. And more importantly, we also have Ron Miller from TechCrunch and a special co-host, Richie Edwaru. And he's definitely dynamic, probably more dynamic than I am. So definitely check out the show at our regular time, 11 a.m. PT, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here. Fridays is Disrupt TV, and we'll definitely see you there. Thanks a lot, everyone. And more dispatches, follow me on Twitter at RWANG0. You can catch Holger Miller at HOLGERMU. So see you guys.